And the camera is sort of around there, but don't really worry about the camera because this is not a professional podcast at all.
All right, I think you can't do drug use on YouTube. I think that's it.
What do you mean by drug? Define drugs. Can I drink caffeine on YouTube? You're Mormon, so is caffeine count on YouTube, or you just can't use it? They can't show it in Utah.
Don't belittle me.
Damn.
Just because I'm Mormon, like, all right, so Mormons, like, it's actually like an old thing back in when Martha Smith, like Joseph Smith's first wife was like...
I'm trying so hard to not go hack on you right now, but keep going.
All right, well, no.
Because you said his wife, and I was like, okay, which one?
Well, I went there. I was like, yeah, his first one.
You picked the least funniest number you could pick. But I'm going to assume that you're telling the truth, and that's factually, she was the first wife.
Yeah, she was the first wife. Martha Smith.
All right.
Martha Smith. She was the first wife of Joseph Smith. And so she was like... People would come to their house for church because it's Joseph fucking Smith.
Yeah.
He read the plates. So they would go to his house, and she would just be like, don't smoke in my house, and you can't drink coffee because you motherfucker spill it. So, like, that's where that came from. And then it became, like, part of the law is that you can't, smoke cigarettes or drink coffee.
You are so delightfully deadpan. I don't know if you're yanking my chain or not.
I'm so serious right now.
So you're telling me that she had like the white sofa cushions and she didn't have plastic on it. And she was like, "Don't mess up my sofa cushions." And that's and then a whole religion spurred out. Maybe the reason why you could have multiple wives is she just got tired of her husband.
No, she wasn't with it. Like, of course, like the first wife is never with it. It's always the second and third that are always okay with it.
Okay, now we're way off topic. This is John Reynolds, Walk the Crowd, podcast about podcasts. We got Joseph Tolpi. He's a comedian, originally from Louisiana.
Yeah, I'm from Chalmette.
He's got to be very specific. Chalmette people, they don't want you to get confused that they're from any other part of Louisiana. They're from the best part.
Well, you know, if you're in... Wait, are you from New Orleans?
Absolutely.
You're from New Orleans?
I am from the 9th Ward of New Orleans.
Okay, see, like, if I were to say,
we're
I'm
neighbors.
from New Orleans, and then you're like, oh, where in New Orleans?
Well, I specifically did not say New Orleans. I said Louisiana.
Oh, okay.
See, because I would never call Chalmette New Orleans.
Thank you.
Never.
Which I agree with. It is nothing like New Orleans.
Chalmette's kind of like New Orleans was in 1947.
I mean, the year I was born was the year that they stopped having, like, KKK rallies rolling down Judge Perez.
Well, the thing is, at a certain point, when you actually get the KKK people elected into office, you don't really need to do rallies anymore.
Oh,
they just do
who
benevolent.
says that they're not still in there?
Well, I didn't say that they got out.
Oh,
I said that's when they got in, and they was
You're-
like, we don't need to do rallies anymore. We run this thing.
You're right. I don't even.
What's the name of your podcast?
Oh, with a little feeling.
With a little feeling.
With a little feeling.
So I listened to one episode, the most recent episode, and you recorded it with your phone.
Don't do that. Yeah.
No, I like it. I like it.
That was the rawest one. Yeah, I just did it off my phone. Like, I hate it because I tested it by putting it near my face because I had headphones in. So I thought the headphones were picking up the mic. So I was like, all right, this is fine. The headphones are picking it up. So I put it down, and then it was actually the phone audio.
I've done that before too.
It sucked, but when I listened back to it, I was like, fuck it. I'm just going to put it up. This is raw. This is what I meant it to be, so I'm just going to put it up raw.
So the initial setup that you wanted is you had like a mixing board, and then you had that connected to your phone?
I had a mixing board that was connected to my laptop that actually connected to a iPad that I use for like sound drops. I had like a friend just send in like reaffirming things like, all right, go for it, and like him laughing.
What was the initial use of the phone when you because like was it just like as a backup recorder?
It was. I had packed away my microphone.
Oh, okay.
So like I had nothing. Like my laptop mic is so shit. So I just
normally
don't
are.
Mine was real bad. Mine is like right above where like the palm of your hand is.
Yeah.
So like anytime I would like be like on the computer like that's where your hand goes. So I'm covering up the mic. So then it has like skin in the microphone hole. I'm like, oh, gross. I guess I'm never using that mic again. So I just sprung for like a good one.
Nice. So what is it that you're using? Like normally when you do it, so you use the phone for this one, which is I love because people don't really think they think you need like all this equipment and all this stuff like that. And it's yeah, just start with your phone.
Oh yeah, well it was so easy with the phone. Like I still used Audacity. Like I don't know what you use.
I use Reaper.
What is that?
It's similar to Audacity except it costs $50.
Why did you do that? Audacity's so good and free.
Reaper has a free version, and it's like you can use it infinitely. Right. So it's sort of like on the honor system, and it like nags you every 10 times you open it up. Like, come on, come on, give me some money. Yeah. But I actually paid for it because I liked it, and I do other stuff besides just this. Like I do other audio editing for audio for film, and it's just I like it. I like it. It's super complicated. I love it.
Okay, I'll let
you got another one of those. We're doing this today. We're breaking all the podcast rules.
Whatever. I think
we're gonna put up XXX on this thing. So this is for adults only.
Well, I mean, that's the thing about YouTube too, is that like I know I put my podcast also on YouTube. Yeah. Like at least the first 3 I have on YouTube. So I know I'm not getting the kid audience because like I don't want to. I know I have explicit language, and I just don't want the videos themselves to get taken down.
Yeah.
So I know I'm cutting my audience potential because kids watch YouTube more than any fucking body else, which is insane to me.
Yeah. So I want it to be accessible to young people, but in reality, this is mostly for comedians, and there are comedians who are 15, 16 years old. They'll figure out a way around it anyway, or they have much better role models than me, so they're not worried about me at all. They're just gonna watch, I guess, Andrew Dice Clay tell some dick jokes. I don't know.
That's your best role model?
Andrew Dice Clay is a fantastic comedian. Fuck what everybody else is talking about.
No, I'm just talking. I saw him live once.
For real?
Yeah, it was awesome.
Where at?
My old job up north.
Oh, okay. He doesn't want to big time us. There's probably some fancy comedy club.
Gramercy Theater.
Never heard of it. It's probably terrible.
Right. Oh, a bunch of podcasts are recorded there.
Bunch of podcasts are
Ron
recorded.
Funches just did a show there, and I'm so jealous about it.
I love Ron Funches.
Mm-hmm.
His podcast is like an inspiration for this one. Wait. I like yours. So is every episode just you?
Yes. I was going to bring people into it. Like, I have one episode where I'm like, I kind of talked to you about this one night as well. Like, I had an episode.
They weren't here for that.
No, yeah. All right, I'll fill you in. There was one episode, like, I was like, oh, I'm going to go visit because I was coming down for Thanksgiving. And I was like, all right, I'm going to go visit. I'm going to see my friends. I'm maybe going to record them, have them be on the podcast. But I kind of, once I got there, I was like, I was enjoying the interaction on myself. I felt like sticking a microphone in the middle of it might just dampen the experience that I'm currently having.
Kill the vibe.
Yeah, it would kill the vibe. So, like, now you guys do what you were just doing, but here's a microphone.
What is your purpose? What is your inspiration for doing it? Is it like a writing exercise? Is it like a self-help exercise?
I guess it was all of that. It was mostly like, you have to have something going, right? So I was like, what? All right, I can talk to myself. I talk to myself all day. I can talk to myself on a podcast for 30 minutes because I also don't have a hard cap on it. Like I have one episode that's 30 minutes. I have another one that's like 46 minutes. I think the most recent one was probably like 26 minutes or something like that. It was really like I just keep it to what I can do because it's me and I'm not. The only other solo podcast I can think of is Bill Burr.
Well, that's the vibe I was getting from listening to yours. Well, obviously you're, way sadder than he is. Like the idea of just like I'm one man and I'm gonna go, and I think it's good exercise for stand up, especially like if you're a person who writes on stage.
Yeah.
And I'm sort of like that's how I like. Somebody asked me, like, how many of your good jokes started on paper? And it's like 0% of them started on paper. They all started with me free talking, and I think that it's a good exercise for that kind of thought process and actually recording it so you can listen to it back if you want.
Right. I mean, so like my joke writing used to be all on stage.
Yeah.
Writing. I would just go up with like a loose idea and then just see where it went from. And that's how I actually wrote a lot of my good jokes. But now I'm actually, now like my jokes are, I haven't done it in a while. Like I took a break and then the pandemic happened and then all this shit. I hit the grindstone so hard that it burned me to a nub.
Yeah.
So I was like, all right, I can't do this. So I took a break for a while. So now I'm getting back on stage, telling the jokes I had from 2 years ago.
I'm in a similar bucket right now, bro.
Really?
Yeah, it sucks because we used to have 2 open mics a night, a book show a night. So you could get 15, 20 minutes on stage every night, which isn't a lot for like a pro, but for one of us, that's a lot.
That's great, yeah.
And it's like you do 20 minutes a night, you start an idea on Sunday night.
Yeah.
By that next Sunday, it's a real joke.
No, yeah.
And you eat dirt for like the first 3 days, and every once in a while you'll get out a good line. Just go, I'm gonna remember that line.
Right.
And then the next thing you know, you got 5 minutes a week later, and then a week after that is like a good 5 minutes.
Right.
And
so
now this,
it like the supply has been cut, so
Yeah.
you're kind of wow, that's crazy.
and I tried the on paper thing because I'm good at fixing jokes and finishing jokes on paper, but starting them from like just a random idea.
Really? That's the easy part. I cannot write. This is a terrible thing for a comedian to admit. I cannot write a punchline to save my life. Like, I can't write I can write tag after tag that is pretty fucking awesome. Like, I have good jokes. But when it comes to the button, I can't button that button.
Button's overrated. It's overrated. I like the Hannibal Buress style where he just finishes a joke and then just says an aside and the audience laughs or they don't laugh.
Yeah.
On to the next joke.
Yeah, well, Hannibal's a master at it.
Yeah.
Like, for me, it's like I'm working, like, my jokes are like I'm working toward, like, it's jokes and it definitely has a direction. And then when I get there, it's a fucking mouse fart. And then I don't know how to get over that hump. It's always been my, like, albatross. I don't know how to get over it.
So, like, out of your jokes, like, if you got booked on, like, some big, like, Just for Laughs or something like that, and you had to do 7 minutes,
All right.
how many of that about what percentage of that 7 minutes would be from recently, like, right before COVID, and how many would be from the beginning? Like, would you have any, how long have you been doing stand-up?
I started when I was 19. And
Jesus.
I did it solid for 12 years.
Wow.
And I took a break end of 2019, and then the pandemic happened. Like, my dad died, so I stopped doing stand-up.
Yeah.
So, like, you just don't feel funny. Sometimes you got, I'd been hitting it for, at that point, 11 years. So I was like, fuck it, I deserve a break. Like, if something happens to you, you gotta fucking take a break every once in a while.
I'm in the exact same boat right now, bro.
Your dad died?
My brother died maybe
no.
6 weeks ago.
What?
Yeah.
I'm so sorry, man.
Thank you, man.
You okay?
No, I'm not okay at all. But we're back at it, and we're back to podcasting and stand up.
Hide it with jokes. Okay,
Oh yeah,
I get it.
It's so hard to not write jokes about it too.
I just
It's so hard to not. I heard you tell the jokes about your dad dying.
It was just I just decided to do that like last week, and they've been good so far. Like they've been all right. It's like I said, I write more on stage, so it's like these are the jokes.
It's probably gonna come out one night when I've had one too many whatevers. Mm-hmm. It's probably gonna come out one night. Because some of these things, I'm not going to talk about it on the podcast.
Well, when I started talking, when I was like, all right, I'll talk about it, is when my mom finally started talking smack about my dad. After he, like, it was just when I moved back, and he was like, ha.
Wait a minute. Wait, so both of your parents are Mormons?
Yes.
I didn't even know we had a Mormon community in Louisiana, much less in Chalmette.
Yeah, there was like 50
All right.
Mormons.
One family, huh?
You fucking, come on. Don't do that.
I'm better than that? No, I'm not.
Yeah, you're better than that.
I'm not better than that.
You should be better than that.
I should be, but I am not.
Come on. No,
Okay.
It was a bunch of families. I had one mom, and they all the families, they had one mom. A bunch of kids, though.
Yeah.
Like, every family, there was us, there was the Tolpis, and then there was the Getchers. And the Getchers had, like, 9 kids. And, like, we had 6. And then there was, like, everyone else had, like, 2 to 4.
All right.
So we were the we were the big time Mormon family.
You guys were the middle class Mormon family.
Oh yeah. Well, we were working. We were like upper tier. My dad was a bishop for a while, which is like the priest.
Yeah.
That's what they call their priest. It's a bishop, and he was a bishop for a while, and then he just stopped going to church. Which, cheers, you know.
Wait. So, you've been doing stand up over 10 years. If you got like a big gig, what do you think any of your jokes from like your first 5 years would make it into that 7-minute set?
Yes.
For real?
I have two. I have a joke that I wrote in New Orleans when I was like a year and a half deep that I still tell. That still kills. It's crazy. I heard someone tell like a similar joke like the other week, and I was like, oh shit, that joke's dead forever. I can't tell that joke anymore. But it wasn't similar in the same. It was like, do you want to hear it?
Let's hear it. This is gonna be our
God.
first bit on the podcast.
No, I don't want to do that then. I don't want to be the bit guy.
You could be that's who you are. You're the bit guy.
I don't want to be the bit guy.
Then you just asked to be the bit guy, and I acquiesced, and now you don't want to do it.
No, you're right. I'm so wishy-washy. I'm the John Kerry of comedy.
Well, I'm just gonna say I have 11 solid listeners, so if this is a good joke, you know, it might work out for you. You might be famous one day.
God. All right. I was walking. This is kind of true. I was walking through the quarter. The joke is, God damn it. I was walking down the street, and then like an EMS bicycle drove by me. You know an EMS bicycle?
No, absolutely not.
EMS bicycle.
I know what EMS is. I know what a bicycle is. I do not know what an EMS. Keep going.
An EMS bicycle. It's a guy with a fanny pack, and he's riding down the street, and he's got the EMS all over him, and I would rather a Saint Bernard with a keg of whiskey around its neck come and save me than that guy. Because that's probably the ambulance driver that got a DUI. And he's just like, fuck it, Toby. You can't do shit. And they're going to stick you on a bike. We're going to give you a light. You have to make your own noises. And he's just riding down the street like boop, boop, boop. And then skis.
I like the visual of the Saint Bernard with a flask of brandy.
Yeah, like an old-timey cartoon dog.
I'm going to go ahead and say that no one in New Orleans has a joke similar to this.
Yeah, well, that's why it worked out so well, you know?
You said that you heard one similar, and I don't think you did.
Someone else had a joke about EMS bicycles. I can't remember. I think it was at 12 Mile Limit. Like, I heard it, and I was like, oh, no, I can't do that joke anymore.
They're going to think you stole their EMS bicycle joke.
Dude, I've had so many jokes stolen. It's like not even funny, man.
Here's the thing with me. I don't normally, I don't want to really get into joke theft, but a lot of times, like when I feel that way, it's normally, it's like, okay, I don't own this topic, but sometimes when it's something like super, at least in my mind, original, it's like maybe they're doing it on accident.
No, it's all... I've had one... All right.
I've only had twice where I went, okay, this person is just throwing me the middle finger right now.
What?
And it didn't work for them, and they'd stop doing it.
Really?
Great, yeah.
Like someone was doing it as like a fuck you?
That's what I felt about it.
Really?
But they stopped doing it, though, because they never got laughs with it. I think they were trying to let me know that it was an easy, stupid joke, and they just never got laughs with it.
What a fucking dick. Oh, wow, what a dickhead.
Well, they stopped doing it because we were in the show together, and it was a book show, and they didn't think that I was going to tell my joke right after them.
Yo, all right. So,
I did, and it worked for me.
No, yeah. You did it after?
Yeah, directly.
And it worked?
Next comic.
God damn it, you're a king, man.
Next
That's
comic
crazy. What? All right,
didn't even address that they had just said it. Didn't even address it.
I did that. Like, all right, opposite way. There was a comic who I saw tell my joke, and we were actually like friends. We were like boys. And we were doing the same show together, and it was like 2 weeks in a row. So the first week, I saw him tell the joke. I went on later in the thing, and I was like, oh my God, that dude told my joke. And it was like almost verbatim. So I wasn't like, and he was telling it because he needed a joke to tell, you know. It wasn't like, hey, fuck you. Oh, I don't, you know, it wasn't a similar situation.
Yeah.
So I saw that guy tell my joke. And next week, I know we're on the same show. I talked to the guy running the show. I'm like, oh, where am I on the list? And he was like, oh, you're right here. I was like, can I go up a little bit earlier? So I actually go up before him. And I tell the joke. And it does well. And then the guy goes on stage, and he's visibly shaken. Like, he's shaking. Like, he's shaking in his boots. Like, he's literally, like, scared. And then he still tells the joke.
How'd it work out for him?
He bombed.
Obviously.
Hard. So after the set, I take him outside. Like, I like, put my arm around him, like, hey, buddy, all right, let's talk for a second. Because he knows he's caught at that point. I take him outside and I was like, you stole that joke from me. Like I told that joke and I tell it there, and you've seen me multiple times. We're friends. And he's like, yeah, man, I'm sorry.
Wow. See, I never encountered it in a situation.
Oh, and follow up. A week later, he texted me. He was like, I'm still going to do that joke.
So it makes me wonder with somebody like that. So I just assume that every other joke they have is terrible.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just like,
Well, yeah.
why? Once you get to that point, maybe because bombing feels bad, but stealing jokes has to feel worse.
Oh my God.
It has to feel worse.
But it's just scar tissue. That's all that is.
Yeah.
Like it's just scar tissue. You're building up scar tissue. Like it that's where calluses come from. You fucking bomb so you can get the dirt under your fingernails. That's my working class view of comedy.
Well, I agree with that. And it's one of those things where like so I guess I'm just nicer about like the thought process, because I've had it where like I had a joke that I might have been doing for a few months, and then like I'm watching like some like Netflix special or like some Tonight Show thing, and it's like, whoa, that is very similar to what I've been working on. And I just drop it. And it's like, I've never heard of this comedian before. I'd never heard this person tell this joke before. Stuff like this happens sometimes. It is weird when it's somebody in your own scene. It's weird. But I go, maybe it's one of those situations.
I had a comic tell one of my jokes on Comedy Central.
Oh, that's got to really burn.
Like all right, this is I don't know if I honestly want to talk about it.
Well, definitely don't say the person's name unless they're going to be on this podcast where it's a rebuttal. But no, I don't really.
I'm not going to say his name, but
I don't care to hear the person's name.
I told a joke in front of this guy, right? This guy is notorious drunk, so I assume it got lost in his brain somewhere.
Yeah.
6 months later, not even. It must have been like, it came out like 6 months later, like the actual set. But he definitely, like I looked up like I got a conspiracy brain about it because I'm like, no way that I'm crazy right now.
Yeah.
And the guy, like he told the joke like 2 months after, so he was like kind of working on it. So he like worked on the joke, and I told one of my friends who's like an old comic from down here, I was like, yo man, I think this guy stole my joke. And he was like, you're fucking crazy, man.
Yeah.
Not everybody's after your material, blah blah blah. And I was like, no, all right, here, let me show you. And this guy had been like with me like almost since the beginning. Like we started here, we moved up to New York.
Yeah.
And I show him the joke, and he's like, all right, whatever. And then I'm like watching him, and he's like he's waiting to like roast me about it, being like, everybody's stealing your jokes, huh? And he, like, his face starts to fall, and he's like, holy shit, that's your joke.
Wow.
And that's when I started getting angry, and that's when I stopped writing jokes, and I just went on stage and started telling jokes.
Oh, well, yeah. That was the evolution. That's how a monster was born right there.
Yeah. It definitely changed everything. But it's like, fuck, man. Like, that dude stole a joke that was just in its infancy. I'm a fucking open micer in New York. And this guy, like, took it and was like, nah, I'll take this. I'll take it.
I will tell you, I'm gonna get off the joke theft thing.
Sorry, yeah.
Well, don't worry about it because we're talking about podcast here. Somebody steal your podcast? Did you steal Bill Burr's podcast and make it sad? Is that what you did? You were listening to Bill Burr one day and you go, "This is entirely too charming.
Kinda. Yeah.
Let's make this very depressing. Let's do that."
You're hilarious. All right, fine. All right, what do you want to change it? Change. It's your show.
It's my show.
It's your show.
So, how many episodes have you done so far, and did you have any previous podcasts before this?
I had one that only had like 2 episodes. Everyone I work with is procrastinative.
Yeah.
Which is a word. Is that a real word?
I'm gonna steal it. So if you hear me say procrastinative on this podcast,
you fucking asshole.
Like that, we're just gonna name this the procrastinative podcast.
You stop it.
And you just have to deal with it.
No, don't.
And I'm admitting it right now. Theft. What's he gonna do about it? What's he gonna do? What's he gonna do?
I'm gonna make a podcast about improvising. No one's ever done that before. All right. No. Yeah. You're right. My bad.
So you had a podcast before.
I had a podcast, and the podcast now, I've only done 4 episodes. It's seriously just about mood, and like I got into it because I used to have a show called With a Little Feeling. It was like a live show up in New York, and it was like a stand-up show, but I would I would start off with like a little monologue about how I was feeling that day, and then I would ask people how they were feeling. It was a good show. It lasted like two years.
That's pretty good.
It had a good run. It was at the Creek in the Cave. I missed that place. It's now in Austin.
Yeah, I've heard of it. A few people from here have performed there since they moved to Austin.
That's awesome. But yeah, I did it there, and it started with me just like talking to people, and then Dad died, and then I was like, all right, nah.
Wait, so the with the little feeling show, the live show started before your dad died.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Well, I was always, you're a nice guy, and you ask people how they're feeling.
Yeah,
that's how it started.
That is really. Are you any thoughts of bringing that to New Orleans?
I would like to. I'm almost afraid to talk to New Orleans crowds at this point, but I'll do it.
What's wrong with New Orleans? So another thing that I'm trying to branch out with this is not just podcasters, because only so many people in New Orleans have podcasts, and I hate recording them remotely.
Yeah. Well.
But I'm also trying to start interviewing people who run shows.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Well, running a show is hard. Like, you ran a show.
Yeah.
Doing it, I did it monthly, and I was fucking stressed out all the time.
Running a show is hard if you do it correctly.
Right.
If it's not, I've heard people who run shows go, it's easy to run a show, and then you're on their show and there's 6 people in the audience. It's like, right. That is easy.
Right, yeah. The way I ran the show, like, at first it was like, when I ran the live show, it was like the first year and a half. It was fucking awesome. And I didn't do much promotion, but I fucking barked my ass off.
Barking
I got people in there.
is heavy, hardcore in New York if you're in the right neighborhood.
I was in, like, not a neighborhood you would expect it. Like, where it's called Long Island City, and it was, like, right on the front. There's, like, a big bridge that comes from Brooklyn into Queens.
All right.
So it's like this giant bridge, and then there's all these residential apartments around it. So these people are just here to sleep and go to bed. And
so who are you barking then?
I was barking locals.
Just like, so if the show, what time would you say your show started? 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock?
8, 9. Yeah.
What time would you start barking?
5 or 6.
Wow, so you were dedicated. See, that's what I'm saying. Like, if you're going to do it like that, where you're committed to putting the audience in front of your comics, it is hard. It's extremely hard.
Yeah, right. And so you got to work your ass off. And eventually, like, my girlfriend was doing the artwork for it.
Yeah.
So I would always have, like, these different posters that were, like, different, like, kind of crazy one. I really love them. Like, we broke up, but I still have all of those posters. And she did a really good job, but she would see, this is where you never put your trust in other people if you actually want to get over. I hate to say that. I just spit on the microphone.
Well, that's why that's why I put that guard on there. I don't trust Joseph Tolpi. I don't know where his shell mouth has been.
Oh, it's been nowhere. I have not had sex in. All right, how are you doing? What are we talking about?
We were talking about your marketing for your shows, and then after this, I'd like to hear about if you do anything to market your podcast. But let me hear about you marketing shows.
I don't do anything to market my podcast. It's gotten random listeners.
Yeah,
which is. It's all about tags if you're going after that. Like, when I put it out, it was more of like me, I gotta shove it out there or else nothing's happening. You know?
Oh, yeah.
So it's like, and I still got listeners. Like, I just popped it to my Instagram and I got people that way. And I just kind of got randos just from the tags I used.
Yeah, like, I don't do anything to market this show besides invite people who have more successful podcasts on it. That's been my strategy.
I mean, if you want to call...
Do you have more than 10 listeners?
The first couple got a couple hundred.
Well, there you go. So hopefully we're able to skim some of his listeners. And all 11 of you guys go listen to his podcast.
Yeah, I'll throw it up. But people like my podcast, which I'm very shocked by because it really is just like
the honesty of it.
Yeah, it's very...
The honesty of it.
The first episode, which is the one that I was hoping you listened to.
I did not. I listen to the most recent one all the time.
That one was probably the saddest. The second one was the happiest. The third one was the most optimistic. And then the fourth one was then the saddest.
Okay. That one was sad for a lot of reasons. The technicality of it was like, were you even holding the cell phone, or did you just like put it on the table and was like, let's just go?
Well, it was like, yeah, it was. I had it in my hand, and I was like, all right, fuck it, put it down, and I sat by my window. I sat by my window just smoking cigarettes and like talking into it, like I'm doing now. Sorry, Mom.
Your mother's not gonna watch this podcast.
She's not gonna watch it.
No chance.
I do have a snitch in the family.
You have a snitch?
I have a snitch.
I can't wait for the Tolpi family snitch to watch my podcast and subscribe to it.
He snitched on one time. I had a set at like a club.
Yeah,
and
real club.
I put it on YouTube, and it had cursing in it, and he told my parents that it had cursing in it.
Just that's all it took. Not even any specific curse words.
No, I was talking about how Katrina destroyed our lives.
That's a good reason to curse.
But it was all right. Like my mom was just upset by the curse words, but my dad was for it. My dad loved it.
He loved it.
Yeah.
So this is our longest episode yet. I think we hit the 30-minute mark. Oddly enough, probably got like 2 minutes left because I start the recorder early.
Okay.
Now, how do you think you're going to continue with this podcast?
Yeah, I really want to. I have so many life obstacles in the way, but you got to overcome them somehow.
And I love that. I think that there are a lot of reasons why people in general should think about podcasting. Some people go, oh, you shouldn't do it if you're not going to get an audience. There's a lot that comes from it, even when no one's listening. It's something about recording it and posting it, where it's a form of expression where people can come and engage with it as they want to. Dude. And I think it's very useful.
Yeah, it's like open mic comedy. You got to start somewhere.
Got to start somewhere.
You're not going to Bert Kreischer it right up to the top.
And people are like, oh, you got to wait till you have like a great episode, and then you start posting. It's like, well, how are you going to learn how to work the equipment? Yeah. How are you going to learn to upload your stuff? It's just like you're saying, it's just like an open mic. Yeah. You got to get so open mic. The first advice I give people when they're starting comedy, they go, is there any advice you give me? I go, like Mickey and Cassidy says, like, use the microphone. Yeah. And it sounds like asshole advice the first time you hear it.
No, yeah.
But in reality, it's not.
I used to talk like a little baby bird until Mick and Cass. So, yeah, it's a great thing.
Well, all right. Tell them your name and tell them the name of your podcast.
Hi, I'm Joseph Tolpi, Tolp as in Paul. And the podcast is With a Little Feeling. With a Little Feeling. I'm a little tipsy, so it's coming out a
Where
little
can they find it?
Everywhere.
Everywhere.
In Instagram.
Can we find it at Walmart? Can we find it at Walmart?
Wally Wally World.
That's not how you say that. Anyway, this is John Reynolds, Joseph Tolpi, Walk the Crowd podcast, the podcast about podcasts, and that was really awesome. Let's do this again someday.
Yeah, man, you're good at this.
Not really.
No, you're great.
Like 33 minutes. And this is my favorite part because the camera's still going. You can come in here, Drew. Oh, thank you. You finished? Yeah. Let me pack this up and get ready to go up.
Thank you, John. I appreciate it.
Yeah, man.
That was fun.
I hope I was recording this. I was.